And so I call it back. Okay. So I call it back and I'm like, hello? And the first thing that I hear is, why the fuck are you talking about me? And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, whoa, why are you calling me right now? And like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you were posting something on Facebook about me. And he was coming at me aggressive. And I'm like, I didn't post anything about you on Facebook. What are you talking about? And he's like, that post of life with Gypsy Roads or something like that. And he was talking about that picture that's going viral, that it did not come from my account. I didn't post this picture, but it was a picture of me and him side like together, and then a picture of me and Ken, and it said something to the fact of I had to kiss a frog to get to the prince or something. I did not write that. I may have not been respectful in certain areas. I may have not always been that thoughtful of how things would appear to him when posting pictures of me and Ken. But the last thing I'm going to do is be cruel. I might live my life and enjoy my time with Ken and my relationship with Ken, but I'm not going to be cruel to Ryan. And I'm not going to ever say anything like that about him. I'm just not. I'm not going to be disrespectful. And so when I told him that that was not me that posted that, he calmed down. He was chill. And then he's like, well, okay, well, how are you doing? And I'm like, I have got to go. I'm eating dinner. I gotta go. And he's like, well, don't hang up on me. So I hung up. Ken was sitting across from me, and Ken had overheard Ryan yelling at me through the phone. And then Ryan started texting me. I looked at my phone, and Ken is like, what is he saying? And I handed Ken my phone. He read the text, and Ken got a little upset because Ryan was out of pocket. He was being aggressive. Emotions got the better of Ken, and he started texting Ryan. It got aggressive, back and forth in an argument. Once Ken cooled down, he's like, I shouldn't have said all that stuff. And I was like, it's okay. You were upset. You were being protective over me. I get it. And I blocked Ryan's number. So at least it was another fake number that he creates to call me or text me. So that's what really went down last night. And I just feel like if he got to speak his piece last night on the situation, because he did acknowledge it, I can too. I'm about ready to change my number. Change my number. Again, for like the 5th time. I just like, I don't know what to do at this point. And like, it made me sad that last night was like our 3rd year, like anniversary of us like knowing each other, or like meeting in person and all that. I didn't remember that. So after that, I felt bad for answering him with, why are you calling me? So it made me feel like a piece of shit. I try to be sensitive to him. I really do. And I mean, I wish him nothing but the best. I heard that he went out on a date, I guess. Good for him. I kept telling him for the longest time, go, like, get laid, you know? Do what you need to do to mend your heart. I'm all for it. And I'm totally fine with him doing lives. there's some things that I feel like if you're gonna talk about your life, then talk about your life. Don't talk about me. Talk about your hobbies. Talk about wrestling. Talk about what makes your heart tick. Like, make it your life. Don't make it all about me. No, we still have, I'm not divorced yet. We still have till October for the divorce to be final. We have court we have court this month, at the end of this month. It's a long process. I watched the latest episode of our show, and woo, was it interesting. I think next week will even be more interesting. Every week, like, even though it's my life and, like, I know it all was filmed in that time, watching the show in hindsight, there's so much that, like, I look back on, and it's so eye-opening. Like, when I was texting my sister in the car, I mean, I was focused on my phone, so I didn't really know what was all going on around me, but to look at Ryan and see how, like, he was hovering over my phone and is like, what you doing? What you doing? Who you texting? Like, dude, even I was shocked by that. But I gotta give props to my sister. Like, I feel like my sister she's so level-headed. It was such a good episode. And I know they didn't show it, but, like, we went to a little boutique in her area, and we went shopping. And she was showing me what was, like, in style and trendy and stuff like that. And I was like, girl, there's a 10-year age gap between me and my sister. So she's 23, and I will be 33 on the 27th. So here she is, like, picking out these really cute, like, little sundresses and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's cute for you. And I was like, I think I need a little something more age appropriate. Can I talk about jail? What do y'all want to know? How have I been doing? I've been good. Staying productive. Today I had to figure out how to work the mental health app. So I'm in therapy. I'm in mental health therapy, and I go through an app called Hilo. And I am not good with technology. So I had to figure out this app. And then you have to figure out, like, a code to your location where your therapist is. And it's just a lot. Technology's a lot. I'm like, I want to make the account. I want to talk to a therapist, and that be it. Because I had to get a new therapist from when I moved. When I left Ryan, and I moved from Lake Charles to cut off with my parents, I had to get another therapist because the distance between Cutoff and Lake Charles is 3 hours away, like, from each other. So I couldn't keep the same therapist that I had. Therapy is going pretty well, actually. We're working on trust. So right now, things that I'm working on in therapy is trust. I feel like I have a lot of trust issues. Did people ever try to fight me in jail? No. I've never been in a fight ever in my life. Gotten into it with words, but not physically. Oh, thank you for the rose. It's so pretty. I'm trying to keep up with these comments, guys. I really am. Yeah, I know, Ryan was saying a bunch of stuff last night. I think I'm just starting to expect that every Tuesday he's gonna hop on a live and try to defend himself because another episode came out and he didn't look exactly the best. I always said I am not gonna trash talk Ryan. I'm gonna let the show and his actions and my actions speak volumes more than defending ourselves, more than trying to argue with each other, throw shade at each other. I'm not about that. If he's some type of way, people are going to find out on their own by watching the show. And if I'm painted out to be the bad guy, well, then clearly I made some mistakes along those journeys that I've been making too. I'm not perfect. At least I could take accountability and say, hey, I'm still learning. I think everybody agrees that the only person that's safe from getting flack right now is my dad. He's the only one with a good head on straight, I guess. Him and my sister. The rest of us are all a little fucked up. Hey, we're all learning. Yeah, I know, I love my dad too. I am happy to have my relationship with my dad. You know, the thing about me and my dad is, like, when I was in prison, I wasn't able to have a really close bond with him because in prison, like, okay, so my dad is a boat captain. Let's just get that clear and out of the way. So having a dad that has a job that takes him offshore for like 3 months at a time, 2 to 3 months at a time, and then him come home for only a month. The majority of the time, I'd call Christy's phone when I was in prison. I'd call and talk to Christy for everything. And so, like, we didn't have Skype or video call or any of that stuff in prison. So when my dad was offshore, his like sleep schedule was, you know, a little messed up because he has a certain work schedule as a captain. And so, like, I never knew when he was asleep or when he was awake. I never knew if he was working or if he was on break. So calling him when he was at work was challenging. We just didn't have that communication capability really good. So I'd call Christy, and so I developed a stronger bond with Christy over the last 8.5 years that I was in prison, more so than my dad. So coming out of prison, I'm like just now starting to get to know my dad. And what I've learned is he's funny. Like, he's a hoot, for real. He tells lots of good stories. He has his friends come over, and like, it's cool getting to know him as an adult because I could ask him all of those questions that, like, I wanted to ask as a kid. Like, I wanted to ask, like, why did you and Mom's, thank you, Elephant in the Galaxy, why in you and Mom's marriage, like, what happened between you two? Why did you divorce? Like, how did you guys meet? Where did y'all meet? Like, how did she find out that I was pregnant? Like, did she take a test? Did she start throwing up? Like, I want to know about my history. And the only person that's here to tell me any stories is my dad. And I actually learned a lot from my dad. We sat down. We have like at their house, there's this shed. It's big. We call it like the man cave, and me and my dad kind of share it. So it's a man gypsy cave. And we just sit and we chat. We rock in the rocking chairs. We swap stories until like midnight. And it's really nice getting to connect with him. What's something that I wish I would have told my younger self? Well, I guess you could say in context to that conversation that what I was just talking about. I wish I could have told my younger self that my dad does love me and like wanted to be a part of my life. Growing up, when I tell you, my mom said so many things about my dad. Like, my mom told me this one story. And of course it's not true because I asked my dad. But there was one story that my mother had told me that I was a baby and my mom was at home with me and my dad came home drunk one night and I was crying and crying and crying. And so my dad picks me up by my throat and then throws me at my mom and is like, shut her up or I will. And this is the kind of stuff that my mother told me about my father growing up. So to answer the question of like, why didn't I reach out to my dad? Well, shit. I grew up thinking he was a piece of shit. I didn't know him, so all I had to go on at that time was her stories of him. So, and then when I got older, I got out of prison, I asked him, I'm like, Dad, my mom told me this story about you. Is this true? He's like, absolutely not. That is crazy. Absolutely not. So, in my head, I have her version of things, and then I have to sort that out with the reality. It's hard. Because it's like, as a child, I already had like a, formed opinion about my dad and what he was like without actually knowing him. So to have to change all that, it's pretty crazy. I saw somebody ask, like, what is the best memory? And then I missed what the rest of the question was. Oh, thank you, K Millie. Thank you, Jax, for the dog. Have I watched the movies that they made about me? No. So the only thing that I've watched, or I was able to watch in prison about me, was the Dr. Phil episode. Which, that was a long time ago. I think I filmed that in 2017. My bangs are starting to get a little frizzy. Where could I watch your show? So, I know we watch it on Hulu, so it's like Lifetime on Hulu. That's like the one thing I really am disappointed about is everyone just kind of I don't think they know where to go to watch it. Thank you, Larissa Lee. I love those cats. It's on Amazon Prime too? Okay. I think I already knew that, actually. Hi, Maya. Am I in touch with my old neighbors? I know that Christy is in touch with one of my old neighbors. It was a man and his wife. But I'm not in touch with any of my old neighbors. Thank you, Jax.